Fluff piece coming. I told everyone, I went like this. I go, be prepared for an ESPN Fluff piece after this. This is how this works. Here's a little bit of this, and you're going to get this. Hey, Xander, do me a favor. I want Howard to see this list, and I want to get him to comment on this. There was a list that just came out, and it was ranking the head football coaches in the NFL. And if we can, Xander, can we bring that up? And they've got Nick Sirianni,
number 1,
at number 19.
Really? Who put this list out?
A couple of guys that work in the National Football League. Here, let me see if I can bring it up here. Let's see here. Here's the list. So they've got Sirianni ranked 18th, excuse me.
Okay.
Shane Steichen is 17. John Harbaugh, 16. Jesse Minter.
Wait a minute. How could John Harbaugh be 16?
They got Jesse Minter at 15. Schottenheimer, 14. Jesse Minter's a brand new first-time head coach. Liam Cohen at 13. Mike Vrabel at 12. Kevin O'Connell.
Well, I guess Dianna Russini didn't vote on that poll. Oh, gee, he froze as I said that. He got internet issues. Oh, I want to hear his response to that.
He didn't vote on that. She didn't vote on that here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right. But why is it that Nick is so looked at?
Okay, who was number 1?
Let's see here.
If it's not Andy Reid, it's a bogus poll.
It's Sean McVay, then Andy Reid.
Okay, Sean McVay. I'm okay with Sean McVay. I'm okay with Sean McVay.
Yeah, I got this on my Twitter page. If we can get it up, Xander, for Howard to see, that'd be cool. But why is it so? Why is Nick so disrespected? If he's so good at his job, why is he so nationally disrespected?
People take that emotion on the sidelines as the quality of, and they translate it into the quality of his coaching. I don't have a problem with what he does on the sidelines. I mean, he's toned it down a little bit because, and here's why I don't have a problem. I think he gets maybe at times a little too excited, and I understand that, but he gets, and I've seen it, I've been there, and I'm standing there looking at it. He gets right back into what he has to do as a head coach after he gets really emotional. He's back into the mode of making sure he makes good decisions on the sidelines and doing his job. So I don't have as big a problem as a lot of people apparently do, and that's where they give him a negative, grade or whatever you want to call it.
Well, what's his job?
He's got to make sure he's always looking at formations. He's looking, just in case he has to call a timeout, whether it's a formation that the offense that the other team uses, or most of the time he'll look at the formation of the defense against the offensive play that he's called. And if he sees something he doesn't like, he's all over it quickly. So
you think he's going to be still overseeing and over the shoulder of Sean Mannion this year?
Well, I think he always has to look at those things, but when it comes down to a difficult decision, he's got the final decision. On that last play for Jalen Hurts of last season, that was Jalen Hurts' call. And both coaches, Kevin Petullo, who I know you and your boy Angelo doesn't like, and Nick Sirianni, they catered to what he was comfortable with. To say, oh, Kevin Petullo made that call. Well, Nick Sirianni on a play that important, that's a big play.
And the head coach, your season if it fails.
Right. The head coach has the final say. And he was okay with it. Obviously, he was okay with it. But that call was made by Jalen Hurts because he was more comfortable with that play call. That's
Do you give him more credit, Nick Sirianni? This is where I think his strength is. He works around the quarterback's deficiencies as a passer, and for him to be able to get the amount of wins, that's been his biggest strength. It's been this. He knows the guy can't throw the ball. And so they're going to work around that, and that's been the biggest strength with him. Do you
well,
agree?
I think what a coach has to do is not try to put a square peg in a round hole. And if there's plays, if there are plays that Jalen Hurts is not comfortable with, they're not going to force him to do it. Where I like Chip Kelly, but he tried to put a square peg in a round hole too many times, and it was what he wanted to do, and not necessarily what his offensive players were comfortable with. Where in the case of Nick Sirianni and obviously he's the boss, and Kevin Patullo, that's why they went into a game with half the number of offensive plays in the playbook than most teams go into a game with. Because if he's not comfortable with a play, they're not going to force him to run it because they think, well, this play would work. Well, they feel, and probably and not probably, they have good reason. If a quarterback's not comfortable with it and has second thoughts, why are you going to run that play? And then the quarterback will say, well, that wasn't the play that we should have run, and I was comfortable with. So that's what he does. And I would say most head coaches, if they're good head coaches, want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. I had a golfer tell me one time, I caddied on the PGA Tour, one event, but I caddied on a tour event here just outside Philadelphia years ago, Billy Mayfair. And the thing he told me, by the way, he's the only guy that beat Tiger in a playoff. The only
wow,
golfer.
that's right.
Yeah, he's the only guy that beat Tiger in a playoff. But whatever. So I caddied for him here, and he said the one thing that a player asks the caddy for advice, but if he's not on the same page and doesn't have confidence in what the caddy says, then it's no good, because then he has doubts as he's standing over the ball. And that's the same thing with a football player. I remember there's two things that he asked me to help him with: club selection. And I can't believe I changed his club selection, or I suggested it changing. And I gave him all the facts of what the weather was like, what the distance was, all those things. He looked at that. He says, okay, I changed him from an 8-iron to a 7. I said, just back off on the 7 a little bit, and I think you'll be fine. And I just said it with confidence, looking at, because I charted his practice rounds. And he said, okay. But he thought about it, and he was comfortable with it. There was a putt, and he asked me to read a putt for him, or not read it, but give him. And all I said was, the main caddy at this club told me this hole looks like it breaks right, but it breaks left. I said, it's your call. I said, but please make it, because these people here are going to rip me if you don't make this putt. So I got him to lighten up. Okay. But he had to be on the same page. That's the thing with a quarterback. If they're not on the same page, there's not no chance, but there's less chance that he's going to succeed with that play.
Howard, do you believe 2027 will be Jalen Hurts' final season as a starting quarterback in Philly?
This is 26, right?
Well, at the end of the year, 27, moving into 27, by March of 27, when the new year starts, will Jalen Hurts go into the 27 season as a starting quarterback?
50-50.
Why?
But he's got to show him that he's better than he's been. At doing the things. Remember, this offensive line isn't as good. They're still a good team. The Eagles are still a good team. The offensive line isn't as good. They got two guys that have had injuries. Lane Johnson's a year older, and he's had injuries. Jordan Mailata's got to have a better year than he had last year, and he had a great year the year before. Great year. And he's a real good guy and a hard worker and all that. But the offensive line really is not as good as it had been in previous years. So that changes. Saquon Barkley has a lot of plays under his belt, and running backs, and he's in great shape, and I get it. But but you got to think about that a little bit.
I think he's low on fuel, if that makes sense to you.
It does. But, I'm not sure yet until, we see him. They're going to have good wide receivers, whether Dianna Russini's trade works out or not with A.J. Brown. But what are you shaking your head for?
I wish her happy Mother's Day on TV this past week, and I just wanted I threw
How
that
about
out
that
there.
stage picture of her and her husband kissing
Oh
outside?
my
What's the matter?
god.
You can't kiss them inside. And just conveniently, there's a camera there to shoot the picture. Boy,
With
isn't that interesting?
with the kid there too. I was like,
Oh,
come on.
yeah. It's just
I was like
which one?
something I
The
was
old
thinking at it like Joel and
was it? The oldest kid?
No, it was the
Youngest kid. So it
young
was. So for sure, it was his kid.
yeah, yeah. I think. I don't know. What do you make of that story? What do you make of that whole thing and how it's unraveling? You think Vrabel should be fired? Do you think he loses his job? How do
No,
you think it's gonna work?
well, he won't be fired because the Patriots, and hey, listen, I don't care about personal things, but that affected a lot of other things. There was tampering that obviously happened that the NFL, kind of turns their head the other way and doesn't investigate. That's an issue. But Super Bowl losers don't have really good years the next year. If they lose two in a row, which is a possibility with a much, much tougher schedule, they lose two in a row, people are going to question, has this whole thing been a distraction? Do the players not respect you as much anymore? And, who knows what's going to happen? And then with A.J. Brown, does he want to go there if the guy's only going to be there a year? Whatever the case may be, Vrabel, it's a personal thing, but he's violated rules. And the Patriots are used to cheating. Belichick, Brady, they've all cheated. They both cheated, and they just, it was the cover up. And the owner knew that was going on. It couldn't have been oblivious to all
Well, the
those
owner's
things.
not like not without dents in
He's
the
a nice
fender.
person, but he didn't break any rules of the NFL other than ignore the broken rules of his coach and his quarterback. But no, so it's really hard to say. I don't put as much onus on Vrabel as I do on Dianna Russini, who is a conflict of interest with her job. It's just she gave him information that he couldn't get. Obviously, she wasn't truthful with other players. She was involved in the official awards of the NFL, the AP awards, and voting for that. So, it
A lot
was
of
a
money
total,
involved in that. A lot of money involved in that.
yeah,
That's
I
for
know,
sure.
total conflict of interest. And, I listen, if they want to have an affair, but she can't do it with the job that she had.
Here's something to think about though with Vrabel.
People have affairs, and it happens with players, it happens with coaches, but with her job, her insider, now you wonder how she got a lot of the information because he's not the only guy. Remember the Washington Redskins general manager? There was questions about that when she was covering the
Yeah, but how do
Redskins.
you look at Jay Glazer then having those booze parties for general managers, getting them all liquored up and having strippers over at his house, and he's having all these parties, and even a couple guys in Boston, like Dan Shaughnessy, even pointed that out by saying, "Hey, wait a minute! So this guy's having these parties here. He's getting all these NFL executives all liquored up at his house. They got chicks over at there. This is how he builds a relationship too. I mean, Howard."
Well, wait a
What's
minute,
the
wait a
fine
minute.
line then?
Were the strippers nice? Did he? How much did he have to pay
I
for? Did he pay for the
wasn't
good ones or the mid-level
unfortunately,
ones?
I wasn't
Or the,
there. I don't know. All I know is that, how do you I mean, what's too far to get information? I mean, don't you think that's a little bit of violating a trust too?
yeah, it's on the edge, but it's not doing what she did. It's on
No.
the edge. It's on the edge. But what she did, you know, she 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 violated the rules of her job.
Here's something on Vrabel's side though. If you stay too long, right? Doesn't it get to a point where you almost become unhireable for your next job
Yeah.
if you keep staying there and this shit? 'Cause Howard, you know what this is ending up, right? You know what the final story is in September. That's his
Yeah.
kid. That's his kid. It's going to come out that that's his kid.
Well, who's gonna? How are you gonna find out what the DNA test is?
I'm just saying, you know what's going to drop here because there's
Well,
too many.
yeah,
Every 2 weeks, there's something new. There's more pictures. There's more this.
yeah.
We know where
There's
this is
more.
going.
There's more things that are probably going to drop. That pictures that she doesn't take, stage pictures that are going to drop. More pictures that aren't staged. I don't know. It's just I think her husband he's in a tough situation. Difficult situation. It's just, they're his kids. Well, at least maybe one of them is. I don't know about two.
I don't know.
But, it's kind of a shame for him. But you're going to tell me with all the time after this, that's the only picture that was taken of what she stayed in the house for 2 months? Yeah. I mean, they all know where she lives. She lives in the Philadelphia area.
Yeah.
So.
Wait, of course he lives in the Philly area because
he's an Eagles fan.
No, that's WIP's Eagle Insider of the Year.
That doesn't mean because she lives here.